Chapter 3. Since before Theo was born, his parents had worked together in a slow law firm called Boone and Boone. Their offices were in a converted old house on a quiet and shady street lined with similar offices, just a few blocks from Main Street and downtown Strattenburg. When the weather was nice, lawyers often seen walking along the sidewalks of Park Street with their briefcases on the way to and from the courthouse, which is only 10 minutes away. And during the noon hour, there were packs of lawyers and accountants and architects strolling along, talking and laughing as they headed to lunch. Secretaries and paralegals were often seen scurrying about delivering important papers to other offices or hustling off to the courthouse. Kids on bikes were not common sights, not on Park Street anyway. But every afternoon, during the week at least one, Theo came flying along. To his knowledge, Theodore Boone was the only 13-year-old in town with his own law office. It wasn't much of an office, just a tiny room at the rear of his parents' building with a door that opened into a small gravel parking lot used by his parents and the other members of the law firm. Law offices never have enough storage room because lawyers are mentally unable to throw stuff away, and they create an enormous amount of paperwork. Thea's office had once been used to store old files, along with cleaning supplies. Once he took over and cleared the space, he installed a card table as his desk. In the attic, he found an abandoned swivel chair that held together with wire and superglue. On one wall, there was a poster promoting Minnesota Twins, his team, and on another wall, there was a large cartoonish drawing of Theo that had been given to him on his 12th birthday by April Finnemore. On his desk, he usually kept notebooks and school supplies, and under it, there was usually a dog, Judge. No one would ever know Judge's age or where he came from, except that he came from the dog pound and was once within 24 hours of being put to sleep forever. Theo had rescued him in animal court 2 years earlier, gave him a new name, and took him home, where he slept peacefully through the night under Theo's bed. During the day, Judge roamed quietly through the rooms and offices of Boone and Boone, occasionally napping on a small bed under Elsa's desk near the front door or under the large conference table if the lawyers weren't using it, or hanging out in the small kitchen in hopes that someone might drop some food. Judge weighed 40 pounds, and though he ate human food, he never gained an ounce, according to the vet who saw him every 4 months. Judge preferred saltier foods, chips and crackers and sandwiches with meat, but rejected almost nothing. When there was a birthday, he expected cake. If someone, usually Theo, made a run to Guff's frozen yogurt, Judge expected his own scoop, preferably vanilla. And Judge was perhaps the only member of the law firm able to choke down dreadful oatmeal cookies brought in at least one dark day each month by Dorothy, Mr. Boone's secretary. About the only food about the only food Judge did not like was dog food. He preferred to eat what Theo ate, which was Cheerios for breakfast with whole milk, not skim, then whatever the rest of the family had for dinner, with a few random office snacks thrown in during the day while Theo was at school. Because he was surrounded by lawyers, Judge knew that time was important. Appointments, conferences, court dates, meetings, schedules, and so on. Every member of the firm kept an eye on the clock, and the clock seemed to rule everything. Judge has had his own clock, and he knew on Wednesdays, so on most days, Theo arrived after school around 4 p.m. For this reason, Judge parked himself under Elsa's desk promptly at 3:30 and went back to sleep. But it was dog sleep, the kind that's not too deep. More of a light nap with eyes half open and ears listening and waiting for the sound of Theo bouncing up the front steps and securing his bike in the front porch. When Judge heard these sounds, he stood and began to stretch as if he had moved for hours, then waited with great anticipation. Theo came to the front door with his backpack and said, "Hello, Elsa." The same thing he said every day. Elsa jumped up and pinched his cheeks and asked him how his day had been. "Just okay." He straightened his button down collar and said, Your father said you were outstanding during the debate. Is that so? I guess, he said. We won. Judged by now, was at Theo's feet, tail wagging, waiting to be rubbed on the head and spoken to. You look so cute in a real shirt, he said. Theo was expecting this because he was usually greeted by some comment dealing with his wardrobe. Also, was older than his parents, but he dressed like a 20-year-old with strange tastes. She was also like a grandmother to Theo, a very important person in his life. Theo spoke to his dog and rubbed his head and asked, Is Mom in? She is, and she is expecting you, Elsa gushed. The woman had incredible energy, and she was very disappointed and she missed the debate, Theo. No big deal. She has a job, you know. Yes, she does. There are some pecan brownies in the kitchen. Who made them? Vince's girlfriend. Theo nodded his head in approval and walked down the hall to his mother's office. The door was open and she waved him in. He took a seat and Judge plopped down beside him. Miss Boone was on the phone, listening. Her high heel shoes were parked to the side, which meant she had a long day in court. Marcella Boone was 47, a little older than the mother of most of Theo's friends. She believed women lawyers were still expected to dress at a higher level when they went to court. Office attire was more casual, at least for Miss Boone, but court dates meant sharper outfits and high heels. Mr. Boone, upstairs, rarely went to court and rarely cared how he looked. Congratulations, he said, hanging up. Your father says you were magnificent. I'm so sorry I wasn't there, Theo. They talked about the debate for a while, with Theo detailing the good points made by the team from Central and the counterpoints made by his side. After a few minutes, though, his mother detected something else. Theo was often amazed at how his mother could sense something was wrong. Often, when he tried to play a joke on her or fool her with some silly gag, he got nowhere. She could look in his face and know exactly what he was thinking. What's the matter, Theo? She asked. Well, you can forget about me and the cello, he said, then told a story of the music class that no longer existed. It doesn't seem fair, Theo said. Mr. Sestring was a great teacher. He was excited about the class, and I think he needed the extra money. That's awful, Theo. We talked to Miss Gladwell, and she explained all the budget cuts that had been ordered from the home office. Coaches, janitors, cafeteria workers. It's really bad, and there's nothing she can do about it. She said we could complain to the school board, but if the money is not there, then the money's not there. Miss Spoon swung her chair around to a small, sleek cabinet and began searching for a file. Upstairs, when Mr. Boone was searched for a file, he simply began rummaging through stacks of disorganized papers piled in some unknown order on top of his desk. He also kept stacks of materials under his desk, beside his desk, and it was not unusual to see documents that simply slipped off the piles and into another spot on the floor. Miss Boone's office was intensely modern and neat, with nothing out of place. Mr. Boone was old, creaky, saggy, and a mess. However, as Theo had witnessed many times, Mr. Boone could find his pot file almost as quick as his wife. She swung back into her desk and looked at some paperwork. This young woman came in last week for a divorce. Very sad. She's 24 with one small child and another on the way. She doesn't work because she's busy being a mom. Her husband's a rookie policeman here in the city, and there's only one paycheck. They're barely surviving as a family, and there's no way they can afford a split. I recommended they see a marriage counselor and get serious about working things out. She called yesterday to inform me that her husband just learned he's being off by the city. The mayor had ordered every department to cut their budgets by 5% across the board. We have 60 policemen, so that means three will lose their jobs. My client's husband is one of them. What's he going to do? Theo asked. Try and hang on. I don't know. It's very sad. She told me it seems like yesterday when she was in high school and dreaming of college and a career. Now she's terrified and not sure what's going to happen. Did she go to college? She tried, but her financial aid was cut. All these cuts. What's going on, Mom? The economy goes up and down, Theo. When times are good, people earn more money and spend more money, and this leads directly to more taxes being paid to the city, more sales tax, more property taxes, more. I'm not sure I understand property taxes. Okay, it's very simple. Your father and I own this building. It's known as real property. Land and buildings are real property, whereas cars, boats, motorcycles, and trucks are known as personal property. They get taxed too, but back to this building. Each year, the city places a value on this building. It's currently valued at $400,000, which is a lot more than we paid for it many years ago. After the city determines the value, it applies a tax rate to that value. Last year, the tax rate was about 1%, which meant about $4,000 in taxes. The same thing happened to our home, but homes have a slightly lower tax rate. Anyway, we paid about $2,000 in real property taxes in our home. And as for the personal property, we have two automobiles, and the taxes were about $1,000. So that's $7,000 we paid into the city last year. Where does the money go? Schools get the biggest chunk, but our tax dollars also pay for such things as fire and police protection, a hospital, parks and recreation, street maintenance, garbage collection. It's a long list. Do you have any say in how the money is spent? Miss Boone smiled and thought for a second. Maybe a little. Not directly, but we elect the mayor and city councilman. In theory, they're supposed to listen to us. In reality, though, we just pay the money because we have no choice, then hope for the best. Do you resent paying taxes? Another smile at another innocent question. Theo, no one likes to pay taxes, but at the same time, we want to great schools, lots of well trained policemen and firemen, beautiful parks, the best health care in our hospitals, so on. I guess $7,000 a year is not that bad. Theo, it's $7,000 just to the city. We also pay taxes to the county, the state, Uncle Sam in Washington. And since the economy is going through a slump, all levels of government are facing budget cuts. It's just not happening here in Strattenburg. So things are bad all over. We've seen worse. Again, it's up and down, but it seems more severe than it affects people we know, like Mr. Sastrunk and this young client of mine. When people we know lose their jobs, then the problem is suddenly more serious. Does a bad economy affect good old Boone and Boone? Oh, yes, especially your father's business. When people aren't buying homes and building things, the real estate business suffers. But it's not something to worry about, Theo. We've been through this many times. It just doesn't seem fair. It's not, Theo, but then no one ever said that life is fair. Her phone buzzed with a message from Elsa. I need to take this call, Theo. I think your father would like to see you. Okay, Mom. What's for dinner? What a joke. It was Wednesday, and Wednesdays always meant Chinese carryout from the Golden Dragon. Miss Boone was too busy to spend time in the kitchen. I'm thinking of sweet and sour shrimp tonight, she said. Sounds good to me, Theo said as he and Judge got to their feet and left the office. That's the end of chapter 3.